Okay, yeah, we'll just start in a minute. I'm just going to introduce, and then Jeannie, I'll introduce all three of you, and then we'll have you start. Okay. Okay, welcome to the panel discussion, the session on work-school balance and mental wellness for parents and kids. And joining us today on the panel, we have Ethan Benore, Ph.D. from Cleveland Clinic Children's, and we have Jeannie Fleming-Gifford, Executive Director of Fairmount Center for the Arts, and Charles Byrd, Director of Education at the Cleveland Public Library. So welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And we're just really going to have a conversation and talk about this topic. This is a big topic right now as so many parents have kids at home and there's online learning and there's so many things going on right now in our world that are really different. And so great topic is, work-school balance. And then also that mental wellness is a very big issue right now for parents and kids. This is new to everybody, a lot of changes, kind of like, this is our new world right now, people say. And so really want to talk about that, mental wellness on both ends for kids and parents. So I know, Jeannie, you're going to kind of speak a little bit first, and we're going to just discuss it as we go along.
Sure. Well, thank you. And thanks to Northeast Ohio Parent for connecting us all differently these days. And I'm just happy to be part of the panel today. I actually am going to share my screen. So let's see if we can get technology to work with us today. And I just had a couple of thoughts. Can everybody see my screen? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So I like memes because, they're short, they're sweet, they have something to say. And so in thinking about work-life balance, I am a mom. I'm a working professional. Personally, I have goals and ambitions, and right now I'm thinking about work, life, school balance, my own mental wellness, think about my child. This is the first thing I have 5 things I wanted to share with you today. The first meme is, of course, Albert Einstein here. It says, life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. And I think one of the things that struck me lately is people talking about the new normal, right? We're all talking about this new normal. And it really is an oxymoron. Those two things do not go together. Either something is normal, it's established, it's routine, or it's new. And so first I want to acknowledge in our talk about work-life balance that it's okay to say that this is new. And it's okay to feel like this isn't normal, right? I think we're all still figuring out, what does that look like? What does it feel like? So that's the first thing I wanted to share today as we have this conversation. Let me see if I can click down to my second slide here. Whoops, I jumped too far there. The second thing is, and this is especially for all those parents out there, there's so many stages in our life, right? And I've been thinking a lot about how when you're graduating from high school, or you're going from college, or you're getting married, or maybe you're pregnant, we're always thinking about kind of that next step. Where are we at? Where are we going? We're planning. There comes a certain time, though, I think that as parents, maybe we get in certain places of our life. I certainly have felt this during COVID, that we kind of feel a little maybe stuck, right? And I think a lot of times maybe as parents, we also forget to take time to set our own goals, right? We're always worried about what's best for our children, what's best for our families. Those certainly have to be priorities, but I think it's a good topic to think about today about our own goal check, and I love this little, this little guy. It says, you tell me we are one step closer to our goal. And I think for parents, and especially right now, is that we all need to just take a breath and think about what finds our purpose. Where is our passion? I love lists, right? Those random ideas and thoughts we have. And I think it's okay to make a goal one thing a day. Sometimes my thing a day is like, I feel really good. I got the laundry put away, right? Like that basket is finally empty after it's been sitting over there for a week. And some days it's like, I have a goal right now of finishing a book. And so some days it's a bigger goal and I'm moving forward with one thing a day. The third thing about, I think that COVID and work and life balance that I've really been reflecting on is that I think we're all feeling maybe a little bit more isolated. Whatever your usual resources and support system, maybe they're not there. Maybe you can't access them there. I love this meme. I keep hearing it takes a village to raise a child. Do they just show up, or is there a number to call? And I think this is a reminder to all of us that, you know, families are living differently. My parents, my kids' grandparents are not next door. I haven't had that support. My village is different. You know, it's a couple people in my neighborhood. And I think this is a good thought for all of us and thinking about work-life balance. Go back and make a list of your resources. Think about if you need more support and in what areas they'll be okay that you can utilize that support. And I think for some of us, we think, well, I don't even have the support. I don't know where to start. I think it's things like today with Northeast Ohio Parent. It's the resources here on the Zoom. It's the resources in your community. I think that we all just have to think a little bit differently about who is our village and what are our needs. Two more quick thoughts, and then we'll keep going with some other material here. I think my thought number 4 is Ernie here, take me out to the ball game. And one of the best pieces of advice I was ever when my child was in kindergarten. My background in education, I went and looked at every kind of school under the sun. And essentially I was really stressed out. Am I making the right decision? And somebody said to me, think about education as a 9-inning ball game. Your game plan, the top of the first, can totally change the bottom of the 6th. You do not have to keep doing what you're doing right now. And so I really think we can think about that in our lives and what's working now. The one thing I would say in my point number 2 is be thoughtful about our change. I say be careful the mama bear mode. I'm totally guilty of it. It's that idea of when your heart, like you see something, you feel like this is not right for my kid, and you kind of go into mama bear mode versus thinking through and keeping proactive and positive. And my final thought today, in terms of our work-life balance and just getting our conversation started, is fear of change. And you see these two chickens and say, it's just nickels and dimes. Like, it's hard to change. And I think it's okay for us to think about, especially right now, in a time of a lot of unprecedented things happening, that it's okay that this is uncomfortable. But I would just say we need to make a plan. We lean in to those resources, to our village, going back to one of my earlier slides about one step forward, baby steps. And then again, to realize even when we make change, that the feeling of new doesn't have to feel normal. It may be uncomfortable for a bit. So when we're thinking about work-life balance, there's a few thoughts coming from kind of the hats that I wear in my day-to-day as a mom and working professional. You know, we'll take it from there. So I'm just so grateful to be part of the conversation today. Thanks, Miriam.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That was really good information. And something that kind of came to my mind as you were sharing, you know, talking about your village and things like that, is just that, I think, like, ask for help, reach out. Some people are very comfortable with doing that. Some people are very uncomfortable with doing that. But I think a lot of people like to help and want to help. And I know when friends, you know, if it's even something simple as giving your kid a ride or just, I need a break, come over. I'm happy when someone asks me to help. So I think, you know, even if it's a little bit out of your comfort zone, just reach out, because a lot of people are very happy to help, especially during this time. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. And Charles Byrd, we're going to hear a little bit from you if you're ready.
Yes. Let me see if I can get this shared.
All right. I know you can do it.
Is it sharing?
Share screen.
I had it up and
That's okay. Just at the very bottom, there's an arrow. It says share screen.
no, I am not seeing it there.
why don't you kind of keep looking for that? You let me know when you find it. We'll jump back over to you. We're going to talk to Dr. Benore a little bit while you're doing that. It's not a problem. So what thoughts can you give us? I know that you obviously would be a great resource for this as well, being at Cleveland Clinic Children's. So anything to talk about maybe like mental wellness for parents and kids?
Sure. So I've been having many conversations
I'm sure.
with my patients and their families over the last several months. I mean, this has been a really, really rough 6 months, and it's probably felt like 6 years for some of us. I loved the comment about values. I think that's important right now. And so I'll share some of the themes I think that stick up from the patients that I speak with. But the concept of values, I think, is important. There is a lot going on right now. You may not be able to do everything. And so it's okay to prioritize. Really stick to your values, figure out what matters to you, what matters to your family. It's going to be okay. We are going to get through this. And it's okay if you need to prioritize some things. A couple of things that I think that's important in working with the kids. A lot of people talk about make it structured. So structure a place to work, structure a time to work, structure a place and a time to play as well. I think the other thing that's important is while you're making it structured, make it safe and let children know what is being done to keep them safe, to keep other people safe. It's a little bit scary time, but it doesn't have to be an unsafe time. And providing information just to kids about why you're doing what you're doing, I think can reduce a lot of unnecessary anxiety for the kids. The other thing that I think is important for parents, oftentimes our kids are scared, but they see us scared as well, and teachers that are scared or stressed. And so listen to your child. Take time. Oftentimes it comes out in little drips here and there. It's not going to be a 30-minute, opening your heart to your parent conversation. But take some time periodically just to sit quietly and listen to your child. They will eventually open up about really what is on their mind and what their concerns are. After you listen to them, that's when you can chime in about giving them the information to make them feel calm, comfortable, and then problem solving with them. If they're scared about catching COVID, if they're worried about not being able to spend time with their friends, listen first, then give them some reassurance and some problem solving. And the other thing that I've learned a lot with families is while this is a hard time too, there's a lot of opportunities right now. And one of the opportunities was we don't have a lot of distractions. And so it's a good opportunity for parents to spend more time with your kids, doing some things you haven't done before. Early in the pandemic, I put a puzzle together with my kids. We have never done that before. It took us weeks, but we just never had, it felt like never had the time. So spend some time with your kids. It really will pay off dividends down the road. And while you're spending time with your kids, make sure that you are modeling good self-care. Whether that's getting appropriate sleep, whether that's getting out and doing some exercise or exercising with your kids. If it's you're a health food nut, so you're going to be eating healthy, or you're into meditation or yoga, do all this in front of your child. Let them see what you're doing to cope with stressful times. And even when you're not watching, they'll be doing some of these activities. And I just had two other thoughts thinking about this. One is when it comes to school, I think now is a time to step up for parents. And I'm not saying that you guys haven't done, your fair share of the work, but teachers are also having a hard time. It's difficult to provide a lot of education to 30 children remotely. They've had to learn a whole new way of teaching over the last several months. And so anything that you can do to help in teaching, to help in tutoring, would be helpful for, if not for the teacher, just for your child to know that they're not alone trying to navigate this new academia that we're living in. And then, the last thing that I have been telling people, just as kind of a theme to wrap all of this up in is to try to have an attitude of compassion with each other. I love the comment of it takes a village. And if we had a number to call, we would call them too. Oftentimes it's going to have to be just today, I need a little help and I'm hoping somebody is compassionate with me. But tomorrow, it's going to be my wife who needs a little bit of help, or it's going to be my daughter who needs help. And so try to maintain an attitude of compassion, and you'll find those little 5-10 minute segments where you can reach out and be supportive of your neighbor or your family member.
So I love everything that you said. As you both were talking, I'm trying to write things down and to mention. So much great information. And I think that, one thing that when you were speaking, it just made me think of, with my own kids, I have 3 kids. I've also been in education for over 20 years. I've been an online teacher for about 16 before it was a thing. So I'm very familiar with that. And so one thing is, first of all, modeling is huge. And we talk about that a lot on the podcast. Just your kids are going to read you, see what you're modeling, good and bad. And like you said, we don't have to be perfect. Don't strive for that. But just like you said, model, getting exercise with them, taking care. And just one thing we really tried to do is just the gratefulness aspect during everything, because, it was really easy to say, we don't get to do this. We missed out on this. And for my kids, especially in the spring, they missed a lot of things. And my oldest daughter is a senior right now, so things are different and they're not the same and what she thought. And so I'll kind of give them that time to talk about, yes, it's okay to be upset and disappointed of the things that you've missed, but then I try to quickly turn it around. Now, okay, we can't change that, so we can't focus on that. Let's focus on what we are getting to do. What is good, what we do get to do. We didn't think you would even be able to go back, and you are. For my daughter, you got to have your tennis season. We didn't think you were going to get to do that. Whatever it is that we can find that we are able to do, the positive, letting them, I feel it's important to let them express their disappointment and sadness over things, but to quickly turn it around so we don't stay in that space of what we can't do and that negativity. So that's been very helpful at our house for my kids, just kind of try to turn it around and focus on that. And I love that you really stress just spending that time. That's something my husband even said, I hate the circumstances, but he said that time, those few months in the spring and the summer, he said, I'm going to cherish that for the rest of my life, and he said, because it was time that we never would have had, just the slowdown. Of course, we don't want the circumstances for it, but just the slowdown of all the activities, and everyone was here and without a lot of things going on. And we, like you said, the puzzles, we were just able to just spend so much time together, and then I will cherish that forever. And it also made me kind of reevaluate some of the things we were doing too much. It just happens kind of slowly, too busy, too much. Okay, we were forced to stop everything. Now let's maybe look at, what do we really want to start up again? What things do we maybe want to, not start up again?
Excellent points.
Yeah. All right, Charles, do you think you are ready?
Yeah, ready. Yeah.
All right, we're ready.
Okay, so good afternoon to everyone. Once again, my name is Charles Byrd, and I am very happy to be part of this panel this afternoon. As Miriam said, I am the Director of Education here at the Cleveland Public Library. And what I wanted to share, and it hopefully will tie in with the work-school balance and the mental wellness for parents and family members, is just a couple of programs that we have available here for families and scholars, not only in the city of Cleveland, but the surrounding counties as well. My role as the director is to develop programs for youth, and as well as to monitor those programs and evaluate those programs. So one of the programs that I'd just like to briefly talk about, this particular partnership and collaboration is for the family, for expected mothers. And the program is called Help Me Grow. And you may be familiar with Help Me Grow, but it is a voluntary program that supports expected mothers and young scholars and families throughout Ohio. And it is offered at no cost to the family. The home visitors are well-trained professionals who has a compassionate approach for information and supports during this period of time of pregnancy. The program also empowers the mother as the parent with skills and tools to build confidence in this role in nurturing the healthy growth of their child. And then there's the early intervention part of the program, where it supports families of young scholars from birth to age 3 with developmental delays and disabilities. The services are typically provided in the home or other places where family members spend their time. And it's built on the ability to enhance the scholar's learning and development. This was a program that was not part of my screenshot, but as we were speaking about mental wellness, I thought it would be a wonderful piece for me to add in there. Another piece that we talked about was the Project Art program here at the Cleveland Public Library. And this is a program for scholars ages 13 to 18 that we are currently offering. And the Project Art program is a unique experience service-based program where the instructor is addressing various art concepts. And as we all know, art is very therapeutic. So for our scholars that have been away from their regular school setting for the last 5 or 6 months, I'm sure there's a great need for the social and emotional learning aspects for our scholars. So this program will definitely address the social and emotional aspects for students that's enrolled in that particular program. Yeah. So we can go to this. Yeah. So another program is our Young Scholars Academy program. And this program is for scholars that's ages 3 through 6, where we can also, once again, address the social and emotional learning of the scholars in that particular age bracket. For each of those ages, we have a design lesson plan for our 3-year-olds that address the beginning skills and kindergarten readiness. And then we have the intermediate portion where we're addressing students that's age 4, and then the transitional pieces for scholars that's age 5, that's getting ready to make that transition from a preschool type of a readiness program that will push them into a kindergarten program and help them to be successful. The next program is a STEM at Home program, and this is a robotics program that's also very therapeutic for scholars and part of a mental wellness and balance for students, where they can begin to build and assemble robots that they can control with remote controls through the process of coding. And this program is being brought to the public and scholars through 7 library branches throughout the city of Cleveland. And it's for students in grades 3 to 12. And the arrangements and setups are for students in grades 3 through 5. They are operating out of a beginner's kit that's in their homes with them. And the students that's in grades 6 through 8, they also have an intermediate kit in their homes that they're operating with. And then our students in grades 9 through 12, they have a robotics kit that they're building and coding to make the robot perform different types of programs. The next program is a tutoring homework help program. As we know, our parents are very busy today, and many of them are going off to work each day, and our scholars are involved in online learning. And if some of our scholars need some type of assistance, then they can reach out and register with our homework helpline, where they can actually receive tutoring and homework help provided by scholars that attend Cleveland State University. The next program that I'd like to talk about is the CPL Play. The CPL Play is an online gaming experience for all ages, beginning as young teens and young adults. It's a live gaming and streaming program where it also consists of interviews and panel discussions. And this is another very therapeutic program that scholars can be involved in, and it takes place every other Saturday. This coming Saturday is a login for students where they can go to cpl.livecal.com and click on the CPL link to be a part of the CPL Play program. And then last but not least is our educators resource that's available for parents and family members that can be found at cpl.org that give parents and family members access to educational databases and digital collections. So thank you for allowing me to share these wonderful programs that can assist with the balancing school mental wellness.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Such great resources, and it just kind of goes along to show us that, you know, what we mentioned earlier, if you kind of look and seek things out and ask, there are many wonderful resources available, and those are just some of them. And I think as you were discussing some of those, I'm thinking those are great. And I love that you mentioned that art and some of those other things are therapeutic, and I agree with that. And I think that's something great to have your kids involved in, even if it's just at home, especially some kids are, you know, home full time right now, and maybe they're not getting as much of that. So just something, just kind of getting them, like for my kids, I like to just give a bunch of supplies, especially when they were younger, put it out and kind of just let them free. They love doing that, and they would spend hours just spending time doing that, making these creations with all these things available to them. And it also is very therapeutic and something different than a screen, taking a break from a screen. So thank you. I appreciate that. On the podcast, you know, I mentioned earlier, the episode that comes out today actually is all about online, helping your kids with their online learning. So it's really timely. So I know my guest, a couple things he mentioned, and this goes along with what Dr. Benore mentioned too. Something that he mentioned I thought was really good information, giving kids choice with their learning. Sometimes it's chosen for them. Obviously, a lot of things are chosen for them. So to give them choice in anything that you are able to, I think is really good, probably for their mental well-being as well. They feel like they have some choice and ownership in it. If they feel like they have some ownership, they're going to do better at it. So, you know, anything, whether it's maybe the space where they're going to do their learning, maybe if it's the time or the order that they're going to do, if they can, like I said, some things depending on their age and the school, they can't have as much choice, but especially in their free time, giving them some choices of some things really, really will help, and make sure that they're getting breaks throughout the day. We talked about, you know, if your child is sitting there online in front of the screen all day, they're definitely going to need breaks, and just some maybe structured breaks, and maybe some breaks that they can just choose. Again, bringing that choice in where they can just get away from it and kind of reading your kids, we talked about as well. Maybe just even as a teacher, you know, I'm thinking maybe sometimes this is great. This is a great lesson. I spent so much time on it. And then it's like, okay, that was a total flop. And so, but you have to read them. And then I know, okay, or they're just not getting it. It's like crickets, glazed over eyes. So there's a disconnect. So I need to stop and readjust. So same with your kids. If they're just having an off time or an off day or whatever it is, they may just need a break, just to step away. It doesn't mean they don't have to go back to it, but it's just step away, give them some time, give them a break. Those are some things that I took away from that I feel really kind of applied to what we're talking about today.
Miriam, can I also, it struck me actually, one of the things that Dr. Benore said was that we really need parents to step up with the school, right? That teachers have, this is all new, the technology, how we're doing things, and parents stepping out. And as I heard Charles, it made me realize too, because as a parent sometimes, that stepping up in the spring, almost like, I think it almost killed me, right? I was like, I don't know if we're gonna survive. Like first few weeks, I was like, great, we'll make cookies in the afternoon, we can do wood shop. And about 3 weeks later, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how we're gonna do this. And when Charles was speaking, I realized how many other organizations have stepped up, right? So it is parents stepping up, and the parents, us using our resources. You know, this morning I logged on for to the Beck Center, had a wonderful presentation this morning at 10:30. There's lots of programs, lots of organizations. So I think as we think about work-life balance, I know myself, my daughter had started on an online school this fall. She is 13 years old. A few days into it, I felt very overwhelmed. I said, I'm going to lose this kid. I'm going to share she's not engaged. This isn't working. We did a plan B. We shifted everything around. She actually ended up enrolling her in a private school, a big stretch for us, but it was like a hard choice I had to make in a transition. But again, I think as we think about work-life balance and parents stepping up, there's all different ways we step up. You know, sometimes we have to sidestep, but Charles and the programs, I'm like, I am so blown away. I'm like, these are amazing offerings here for our community. So I just wanted to add those couple of thoughts.
Thank you for sharing that. And it just makes me think, you know, you're talking about your daughter, that I say this often, education is not a one size fits all. So what works for even one of your own children may not be the best option for another. So that's where you just really have to, you know, you kind of have to see what's best for them and how they learn and everything. A lot goes into it. It's not just necessarily like, well, they're all going to do this, you know, whole plan throughout their, that works for a lot of people, but sometimes it doesn't.
And I think doing it in piecemeal fashion is okay. You know, when you think about education, it's not about just, you know, clocking in somewhere for the next 6 hours. So these ideas of pulling out into little programs, I think are wonderful. You know, listening to Charles talk took me back to the robotics program I did. It was a much different robotics program, scaled down, when I was 10 or 11 with my dad, but it was a tremendous learning opportunity. And now it's, you know, with my kids, it's more, you know, we're doing riddles and brain teasers, and it's not a 45-minute course. It's 10 minutes here and 15 minutes there that does add up and still stimulates their brain and keeps them motivated to do something academic.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't have to, like you said, be like just sitting for hours at a time doing the same thing. So how would you guys maybe deal with, you know, balancing work and school for your kids? So parents are trying to work, and some are working from home, and some are, you know, going to work, and let's say that the students are home. How can we balance all of this? That's been a huge juggle and a huge switch for a lot of parents to try to make it all work.
Miriam, I'm happy to jump in there. My plan A this fall, which you heard I already went to plan B. So I will say you have to sometimes change your plans. But when online schooling became to be the choice for our family and some other families, we actually were trying to figure out as my small village, how are we going to do this? And there's some parents that work outside the home. There's parents have other responsibilities, caregiving for their parents, etc. So how do you fit this together? And one of the things that I did was worked with a small group, 5 other families. We had a couple of meetings this summer, outside, distance, and talked about forming a co-op, right? How is online school going to look? What resources can we do? How can kids get together socially in school together, especially in the early fall when the weather's nice? How can we still provide social opportunities for them that we value? How can we integrate some of those traditions that are really things that we look forward to every year, but we can do them differently this year? And so that small group of parents, we 3 meetings, just like, these are close friends, but these meetings were very strategic in thinking about what are people comfortable with? What would be the rule about kids eating food? Could a child go in somebody's house and use the restroom? When will kids wear masks and when will they not wear masks? And we wanted to agree upon all these things and then set a plan in motion for how we might be able to form a co-op that would support schooling differently. So as I mentioned, that co-op actually is still going strong. And unfortunately, our family did change when I saw that my daughter, the online system wasn't going to work for her. So, again, it's that 9-inning ball game, right? It was our plan, the bottom of the third, the top of the fourth came. I said, we gotta get on a different team, so, but that's one way I would suggest we look at things.
Yeah, like I've heard a lot of different people doing those little, co-ops, as you've called it, and kind of banding together, especially, when the parents are working, so that we can kind of share and all that. So I think something also to keep in mind is maybe that, and I think it's better now, but maybe in the spring it was, it just kind of was kind of thrown on us. So, but that the teachers are there and they're there to do the instruction. And maybe just, I think some of the parents have put a lot of pressure on themselves, maybe undue pressure where, oh my goodness, I now have to homeschool. I now have to do everything. I'm responsible for all the curriculum and all the teaching and everything, and to sit there, 7 hours a day. And I think that's maybe a little bit putting a little too much pressure on yourselves if you think that way, because the teachers are there, they're in charge of the curriculum, they're going to instruct. If you're there, then I think that's great to be, kind of a more of a facilitator there as a help, maybe help them be organized. And it depends on the age of your child, and their different kids have different needs. So it's, again, this isn't just a one, for everybody, but for the most part, I think, there to help them, get them going, be there for questions. But I think some parents put too much pressure and too much responsibility on themselves. I know, Dr. Benore, you were kind of nodding. What do you think about that?
I was, no, thank you. I was going to try to chime in.
Good.
It goes back to the concept before about values. I think, in the beginning, everybody was able to hold their breath for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or whatever. And now we have to adjust. And there's been concerns with people economically. There's been some concerns with people health-wise. Now we have academic concerns. I love your statement of you may not be able to do it all, at least not all the same way before. And so, stay true to your values, and it's okay if you have to let something go. It doesn't make you a failure. It means like we're going through a difficult time. And I've had families handle this different ways. Some families have had to hire assistants to come in and help with their kids. Some people have stopped working or have started working weekends or working from home to try to do their best to try to accommodate. And so it's not going to look perfect. But I think if you can, what I said before, be compassionate with yourself about this, you will be able to get through it. It's not going to be an ideal state.
Right. Go ahead, Charles.
Well, one of the things that I like to offer too is for parents and family members to just have fun. If they're at home on a regular basis with their scholars, during the day while they're online in an online program, is to have fun and to create or set up a structured, organized 2 hours or whatever that the scholars are involved with the online program. For example, the structure may consist of maybe the first 40 minutes of being online with the teacher or working independently online. And then there's a break in between, maybe a 15-minute break. And during this 15-minute break, perhaps they can go outside in the backyard and they can run around a little bit or exercise, and then come back in and have maybe like a little snack or something, and maybe get involved in some kind of brain gym activities or whatever, and then go back online for maybe about another half hour, and that could pretty much be the day. But I like to really truly emphasize just having fun with the program and setting up some type of structure where it's not 2 hours straight of being online as a scholar, because then it's going to become frustrating not only for the scholars but also for the parents as well.
I love that you said that, Charles. I think that's so important, such an important thing to remember. And I think sometimes parents can get caught up with, we have to get all of this done. We have our tasks. The kids are going to get behind, they're going to be, I always say, like, it's okay. They're still going to be productive members of society. They'll still be okay in their future if they take a break or, even miss a day or something like that. And I'm a teacher saying that, like, they'll be able to get back on. But like you said, it's also going to be beneficial if you have some fun and let them have some fun with it and take breaks and have fun, because then they're going to work better, just like we do as adults. If we are sitting there, if we're at work all day, or think about if you're on the screen all day without any breaks, for me, I'm kind of checked out mentally anyway. So I might be there physically, but not mentally. And so it's even worse for the kids. But when you get those breaks and you just have some fun, you can come back and get to it. So I love that you mentioned that. I think that's a very important thing to remember. Yeah. Any other comments? What about like work-life balance for parents? I think that's a struggle too, a lot of parents found themselves working from home. That was maybe new to a lot of people. I've done that for a long time. And, I know when you work at home, a lot of people think you don't really work. So it's kind of like, oh, you can do all these things. I'll ask you to do all this stuff because you don't really have to work. So I think that's a little bit, misconception. And the problem with working from home too can be that it's kind of always there, where instead of just leaving and then you're done, it's there, and you have that really temptation to be kind of checking in all the time or working later. So I think it's important for parents to know, like, just shut it off, at the end of your workday. And even for the kids, shut it off at the end of the school day, and it's not going away. You can come back to it.
Miriam, I would say too, I've been working differently since around March, and now sometimes I'm going in the office in the evenings. I'm home more during the day. And two things struck me. One is that working at home, I kind of had that grand plan too. This is awesome. My laundry will finally be done. There will be homemade cooked dinners. Half the time my husband comes home and he's like, how was the day? And I'm just looking, still going, and it's going to continue to go, and emails are coming in, and the phone is getting text. And so the one thing that I have learned is that, like, I schedule a meeting in my calendar, I will schedule that hour for me. No one needs to know what it is, right? That is my time. That's my hour. It's my invest in myself, And so I think too often as parents, we want to give to our kids, we're going to give to our family, we give to our community, we give to our work. But it's okay to be a little selfish and put that block of time on your calendar and be selfish about that time, and because I know I'm a much better person. If I go outside for an hour and walk every day, I'm 100 times nicer than I'm going to be. So it's an investment in everybody if we do that. So I would just say, it's so hard. I think especially when your children are really young, in the physical care, my child's a little older. I can leave her for an hour. She's 13. She's going to be okay. So I know that's a really hard thing, but I would just encourage everybody, find that hour meeting just for you. Put it on the calendar, however you have to disguise it.
So I like that idea. So there's family time, then there's me time, and then there's work time. And I think if we try to carve out different segments and times during the course of the day, that will help to balance the day where we're not going to become frustrated.
Yeah, I know. I think it's really good to kind of structure that time. There are 2 points that popped up for me. The one is because parents' lives obviously have changed too. And I think, take a couple moments and reflect on what you miss or what you're missing out of in this new area, and then try to find the appropriate substitute. And so if it's, I'm working from home, so I'm sitting at the computer 8 hours a day, then yeah, substitute it with some walking, or substitute it with, even if it's a lunch meeting with somebody to have some social interaction, but take some time to think about what you're missing from the old way of doing things, and then try to find a way to substitute or build that back in. And the other thing that I would encourage parents to do is to find the pain points and create some hard and fast rules about that. So examples would be, I end up watching way too much TV, way too much news. And it's not good for me. It's not good for my kids. I need to pick a time that I'm going to get my information, and then I'm going to shut it down. If I'm going too much for the snacks or for the alcohol, then you got to put up some barriers for that. If it's that, like what Jeannie was saying, I'm not taking enough time for myself, then you come up with a hard and fast rule about that. But figure out what the pain points are, and just try to come up with some hard and fast rules about what you're going to do for your own mental wellness.
I love it. You guys have been so great, such great advice. I think just so many good practical things to think about, reminders, for parents during this time. So I want to thank all three of you so much for being here and taking your time and sharing. I think it was very, very beneficial.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. It was great.
Bye-bye.
See ya.